And now we wait for the explosions.
And the explosion has just come. Hello, everybody. If you're watching on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel or indeed on the Facebook page, we're trying something new today. We're trying a new piece of software. So if it looks all a bit different and sounds all a bit different, that's because we're using something different. So there's obviously going to be a few teething problems. We've got some problems picking up dock at the moment. But apart from that, initially it's looking good. If you'd like to make a comment on either Facebook or the YouTube channel, please type in, because apparently it's going to show up on the screen here. So if you've got any comments about what we're talking about, by all means join us.
I'll start with a comment and interrupt and tell you to push your microphone a little further away from your mouth, please, Mr. Ramsey. It's a little loud and clipping.
Needs to come down, does it? There you are. Try that. Is that any better?
That's nicer until you get excited.
No, it's very, very rare that I get excited. Certainly these days, I can tell you that. It's not good for my health. So, but somebody who did get excited on the weekend was of course Romain Grojean. Got excited in the car. This
is going to create issues. He was so close to being too late getting out of the car. Like, what is that license test? It's 20 seconds from the moment they start the stopwatch. You've got to be out, and
but I mean,
a little bit long.
That's in ideal situation. I mean, he's in a car on fire after a high-speed crash. The fact he got out at all is interesting. I mean, it's interesting to have a look at because it's made. I know the drivers in IndyCar. A couple of them said if that had have happened in IndyCar and we'd have had a similar situation with the aero screen, might not have been able to get out. And that's worrying. So they're having a close look at that as to whether with that aero screen there might be some modifications that they make to that. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do.
This means with both incidents in the race, especially seeing the car upside down later in the race, it's proved that ugly engineering does work. It's still ugly, but it does work.
Yeah, well, I think that's the case. Nobody likes the aesthetics of the Halo, but it's been proven several times now to do its job. So, and obviously it's got a new convert in Romain, but it's interesting. I mean, once again, we tend to forget that racing's been so safe and the improvements in safety have been so great. You do sometimes get very blasé about it all and think, well, are we really going to get to the stage now where there's no danger? And then you see something like that and realise, no, mate, it's still bloody dangerous out there. Things can and do go wrong, and they can have pretty serious consequences. But he was very, very lucky. I mean, congratulations to the staff, the safety car crew, and everybody who got in there and helped get him out. But fire, it's the worst thing possible. Incidentally, hi to Brad he's joining us on Facebook. He's saying, is Bottas under more pressure this week than at any other time this year with Russell getting the Merc gig? Pete, what do you think? I mean, it would look very, very bad for it would look very bad for Valtteri if George jumps in and out qualifies him and out races him.
Yeah. I think he is under a little bit of pressure, but then on the other hand, would George be as good as number two as what Bottas is? So yeah, I don't know.
I think that's one of the things. I mean that that Lewis is going to be fairly keen to have is a definite number two. I don't think he'd be too comfortable having somebody who's going to be sort of an equal talent. But Bottas, I think that's why they kept him. I mean, he is at the moment the dutiful number two. He's well and truly good enough in that car to win when Lewis isn't there. But yeah, that would be interesting to have a look to see how well Bottas does now. I mean, is he going to come up to the plate, or does George Russell jump in? And the problem is, if George is that much better, if he turns out to do a Hamilton to Bottas again, will Mercedes be scratching their head and going, "Oh, geez, have we done the right thing?"
Yeah, I don't know. Certainly, he'd be under pressure if when Lewis either leaves the team or retires, because then you would bring in George Russell in probably, and I don't think I don't think he'd be a number two. I don't think George Russell would play second fiddle as well as what Bottas does. Bottas nips occasionally, he digs in occasionally, but he's very similar to Rubens Barrichello in that Rubens digged occasionally, but was ultimately a good number two.
Yeah, I think that was it. There's been a few of them over the years, people who are in that ideal situation, and I think that people like Lewis and perhaps Max Verstappen and a few others are very happy about that situation. I think Lewis was not happy when Nico was doing so well, and eventually beat him for the title because I think he's a lot more comfortable having. I think he's an awful lot more comfortable having. Bottas sort of playing number two to him at the moment, but yeah, it'll be interesting. We've also seen this week that Mick Schumacher has got the gig at Haas. We knew that Mazepin was going to get it and bring a lot of money with him, but yeah, that's interesting.
I think,
are you surprised, Pete?
No, not really. I think both of them have got Mazepin and Schumacher have got gigs there. But no, not really. I think it's going to be one of those situations where often the offspring isn't as good as the senior, but I think in this situation he'll be quite good.
Yeah, he's certainly done well. I mean, once he seems to be a slow starter. He was even in Formula 4 and Formula 3. He was, I think for a while there, a few people were saying, oh, he hasn't quite got it, but he seems to progress and very slowly. He learns every time he goes out, and eventually, towards the end of each year, he's got faster and faster and better, and then he starts actually, winning and being competitive. So, he's only got a couple of races this year, but no races this year. But once he gets into the car next year, you would imagine sort of by the end of the year that he will be he'll be up to speed again. Doc has dropped out again. I'm afraid Doc's having problems. This new software does not like Doc's technology at all. But,
Doc, time to upgrade. Get a PC.
Time to upgrade. Let's try again. There he is again. Let's try.
Here we go.
There he is. Can you hear us?
Let's play the thinking music.
Doc is either frozen or he's there.
That's
you're
glitching. Sorry,
no, he's doing a mime.
Technology tonight, guys.
Yeah, you're breaking up badly, Doc. Yeah, good news. Oscar Piastri getting the gig in Formula 2 with Primo Racing. That's a top team. Really good news for Oscar. Look forward to seeing him in Formula 2. So his pathway to Formula 1 looks like taking the next step, and let's just see if he can go from there. He's certainly got a lot of people behind him, obviously with Mark Webber as well. So yeah. So
speaking of technology, do we want to actually have a look at the vision from Grojean catching on fire?
No, we don't. No, it'll get us taken down on both. Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
But I can pull it up off of YouTube.
No, you can't. So,
no fun. I was just watching it, and it's a little fiery.
It was.
Niki Lauda would have been impressed.
It was very scary, and it's the one thing that in motorsport that you just hate to see because it's such a horrible way to go. I mean, I know that some of the marshals who were involved with the Keith Kalsulki thing down at Phillip Island. I know that some of them really never got over it. That because it's just a horrible thing to see that going up in flames and realising there's a human being in there, and despite all the protection, I mean his visor melted. That's so that didn't offer that much protection in those flames, and he's obviously burnt his hands. But he's claiming, I don't know whether he's out. Pete, have you heard whether he's out? He's out yet? He was supposed to get out yesterday, but they left him in for another night.
He's been discharged from hospital.
He has he?
Yeah,
because he was actually talking about racing in the last round. So,
Yeah, I'm not a medical expert, so I don't know if you'll be able to, but yeah.
Yeah, we got Sniper Battle 666 is asking, is it time for Formula One to use safety barriers like NASCAR? I think it's time for them to do something. I'm really surprised
Okay.
how that fence went to pieces. The Armco. It's surprising when you see
Yeah.
some of these new tracks that have got sort of level 1 accreditation still running Armco, and Armco.
Well,
At the best of
that's not
times,
just straight Armco, Brett. I mean, Armco, as we know it, is made from steel. This is clearly an aluminium barrier, so it is flexing and stretching. But the advantage of the safer wall that's used in NASCAR is both that it's interlocked tubes and it is foam filled. So you've got something there absorbing the impact, like absorbing the energy while the metal is stretching. And the big advantage for the safer barrier is it's done in sections that are very easy to unclip, remove, put a new section in place and keep the race going. It's a lot faster than something that's mounted to concrete in the ground.
The funny thing is, I mean, it's typical of the FIA and typical, I suppose, of the, dare I say it, of the French attitude. That when I've heard discussion by people within the FIA about the safer barrier, they've been very dismissive of it. They're saying, "Oh no,
not invented here issue."
Yeah, not invented here, so can't be any good. But gee, when you see sort of the job it's done with both IndyCar and NASCAR, it looks it looks really
well,
looks like it's
especially
really good.
especially with IndyCar, which are related to the Formula Ones in the construction method. Don't forget that the NASCARs are actually a shell inside a shell with a roll cage inside that. And between those two shells is another large chunk of foam.
Yeah, I mean NASCARs are sort of they're a bit like sprint cars. They're sort of almost made to crash, and you can see some pretty spectacular crashes along the way that people walk away from quite comfortably. But the safer barrier has been a really interesting development, and it seems to have worked very well.
One thing I haven't seen much, and I'm just watching some vision of Grosjean as he's walking away and noticing there was a front wheel spat out across the track. So what happened to the cable that goes across the car that's meant to stop the wheels from separating from the body?
I've been meaning to say that's happened quite a lot this year, and Kimi Räikkönen had a wheel that came away just of its own accord, and a lot of the other accidents, the wheels have come away. They've split.
Actually, in watching the vision and watching the replay of of Grosjean getting out, it actually looks like he sat and waited for the safety crews to put the flames or to be approaching with the fire extinguishers before he moved. You can actually see through the gap in the Armco, and then suddenly he's up and out. Like once they had a little area without flames for him to go through.
I think he was. I think he was probably more thrown and had no idea, because I mean, it's hard to imagine what it would be like in that. I mean, if you've ever been in the big fire, if you've ever been caught in a bushfire or something like that, it's so hard to get your bearings. I mean, because you've just got a swirl of flame and heat and wind and noise, and he's just also even if the car didn't tear in half and catch fire, it was just a big bang. I mean, there was probably just a moment where he was just so shaken up, and suddenly he's gone, I better get out of here.
I know with Doc's Adventurers and with mine, with actually flipping a car that my dad owned, after that sort of impact, you are very dazed.
Yeah,
you go and flip your own cars.
He's quoted as saying,
no.
Whoops.
He actually saw death, and he was thinking of his children, and then he wanted to get out. And all he saw was just a ball of flame.
Yeah, it's like the Verstappen, the Jos Verstappen thing with the Benetton in the pits years ago. I mean, it was just that it's a fireball, and you sort of forget just how once fuel goes up, it goes up in a hell of a hurry, and it's very very difficult to put out. When you have a look at what is left of the car, and that's the really upsetting thing. Like when you had a look at what was left of that safety cell after they eventually got the fire out, and you think, thank God he got it, because that hunk of charred carbon fibre and just there. I mean, there could have been a person in that. I mean, so it's it was we're very lucky that he got out. So it's
There certainly wasn't much left, that's for sure.
No, not at all. And the thing is, as we've said before, I mean, when you know, I mean, now it's not as if I know sort of Romain, but we have, I have interviewed him, during the Grand Prix week on the show. He has, we have had him sort of there as an interviewer, and he's very popular. He's very well liked in there, and I mean, you wouldn't wish it on anybody, even if they weren't well liked, but. It's when you know these people, it's the danger isn't. You can't be as flippant about the danger. I used to end all the shows with the tagline, until we see you next. Always remember, motor racing is dangerous. Let's keep it that way. Until a few people that you know started to have serious accidents, and then you went, no, probably not. No, you want it. You don't want to take out the risk factor, but you want to take out the danger.
Yeah.
They're sort of two different things. Richard Catchlove's joining us again. The main reason he survived, he got himself out. Yeah, I mean nobody could have gone in there, and no one even could have gone in there and got him out. I mean, it was very, very fortunate that he wasn't knocked unconscious, because in that case he wouldn't be here now. I mean, we'd be talking about a fatality if he was there. So that's he was a very lucky boy. The halo did its job. The safety cell did its job. But obviously they're going to, the FIA and Formula One and everyone will be looking very, very carefully at just how it happened, how the car did come apart like that, how the fire happened, and also how that wheel came off. The thing is with the wheels, I mean, you can have all the tethers that you want.
Yeah.
There's only so much. There's only so much that you can.
And that's what Martin Brundle said. He said, look, in that situation, you would have had to have a wheel tether that was strong as anything but weighed a ton, and you just couldn't do it. So,
yeah, I think the thing is, I don't know how those things are designed. I remember I've said this to a few to them. My idea with the wheel tether is, I'm not sure whether because there are a number of tethers, sort of all sort of chained together. But I'm just wondering if they're all the same lengths, because what I'm thinking is if they were all of different lengths, you would have progressive deceleration as you come off. So if the first one broke, you'd have some more play in the second one, and then if that one broke, a third one would be a bit longer. So you'd have sort of three, and they would decelerate the wheel to the point where hopefully it would stay at least fairly close to the. So I'm not sure
you
how
could still
that works.
With one tether that was just wrapped back and forward as well, so it comes out at stages. Yep. I'm just noticing a couple more comments popping up in the chat here on StreamYard, which is lovely to see how fast they pop up. With Ellen Bradshaw saying that's happened on lap one. Yeah, that probably makes a lot of sense because everybody was ready for something to happen. All the marshals were like they had that energy ready. And Richard commenting about the amount of time that the gloves are rated for compared to the suits. So
well, they can't be as thick for a start. So I mean that's there. But once again, he was very lucky. We're not sure exactly the fact that he was moving his hands around and all the rest of it, and the fact that he says he's hoping to back would indicate that the burns, while serious, are not hopefully of the nature that they're going to give him problems in gripping the wheel or anything like that in future. So. Gloves.
If we want to move on to Brad's question there about Audi and BMW pulling the pin on E Series, which I'm assuming means Formula E. Not surprised. Not surprised one little bit. Were they at the front?
Well, Audi certainly.
Because neither of those brands likes coming second to anyone.
Well, I think the reason that they're all sort of leaving is there's a couple of reasons they're leaving, and one is Formula E, like it was very cheap. It was relatively cheap marketing. It had the green credentials, but it was essentially a one-make series. Now they're developing.
Yep.
Now they're moving on to the next stage where they're actually developing their own engines, where the cars are going to be different. So now there's some serious money is going to need to be spent, and I think that people like Audi and BMW are looking at it and saying, well, when it cost us $2 million a season or something, yeah, it was worth it. But if it's going to start costing us $20 million a season, and we've got this brand new category at Le Mans running, which will allow us hybrid stuff, and for BMW, they're all in on the hydrogen thing. They're still very gung ho on the hydrogen thing. Well, guess what's happening in 2024? There's going to be a dedicated hydrogen class at Le Mans.
Hydrogen's a mistake. Its calorific value is too low. It's a cryogenic fuel. There's so many reasons to not use it. You're better off using LPG. The only advantage that hydrogen has is that if you have an LPG infrastructure, it is easy to swap that to hydrogen. But even so, the amount of power you get out of it in this sort of application, it is a waste of time for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's from what I've seen, it's very hard. But certainly, I mean, BMW are still very hot on it. So is Hyundai. They're both dedicated to it. I think
the only people who've come up with an engine that works properly on hydrogen is Mazda when they ran a rotary, and they abandoned it.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. But the interesting thing is, of course, as we say, is that like Audi are pulling out of Formula E, but they are going not just back to Le Mans and the World Endurance Championship, but they're building an LMDH, which is the IMSA category, which once again is going to save them money because it's a controlled chassis, or one of several manufacturers, but they don't have to develop the chassis by themselves. They can develop the bodywork, and they can run a road car engine. They could run the engine out of the R8 LMS or any of those sort of high performance cars. So they could run that and a hybrid system. So yeah, that'd be fabulous.
They'd be better off with one of the 4-cylinders rather than something like out of the supercar. The supercar already sells. Right, but if you want to sell people, get them excited about the brand, you need to sell to the general buyer. So if you're using an engine that's derived from something that comes from a regular road car, like how BMW's F1 car in the late 80s, early 90s, used the same engine that was out of the base 3 Series. But they left them out in the rain and did all sorts of things to make the aluminium better. That's where you make sales.
Yeah, I think, but they do have a 2-litre turbocharged engine coming out of the now shut down DTM program. So they've got plenty of options there. Richard's just saying, I think it's true. The other thing about Formula E is Formula E needs to race on proper circuits.
Yes,
the problem is they just
absolutely.
They at the moment they're not. They don't put on a terribly good show on us. Those street circuits are very Mickey Mouse, and they really they come in, they move in for one or two years, and then they people say the gimmick wears off, and they just sort of disappear. So I'm not whether we've got someone with a bad breakup of sound there, so we'll just check your audio.
That ain't me.
Everybody
wiggle your microphone connections and we'll see who it goes away. One at a time. We'll start with Mr. Ramsey. Nope. I'm betting it's Mr. Ritchie. Oh, hello. I can hear an echo now.
Yes, it's very definitely an echo.
Yeah, and it came when you fiddled around with your stuff, Brett.
There, let's try that.
See, folks, this is what happens when you let Brett play with the technology.
No, it's not coming through.
No, the echo's coming from you, though, because it started when you fiddled. Unless Doc's trying to get back in again.
I'm on. I'm still on. I'm still on headphones, so there's nothing coming through the speakers. So not sure what's going on. Not sure what's going on there.
Who just had the Windows bleep noise? Because that's where the echo is coming from.
Yeah, I can. There's echo with you now as well. So, which wasn't around. Has anybody got?
Chris, try muting your microphone on the desktop. Gone. So it's Chris's connection. Check your plugs, mate. So while he's doing that, Peter, what's your opinion on the street circuits? Would Formula E be fun somewhere like Macau?
I don't know much about Formula E, but probably somewhere like Macau. But yeah, probably not much of the other street circuits. I think they need to be smaller circuits because they are electric cars. I think they need to be smaller circuits and fast circuits.
The problem with
something where there's lots of corners where you could show the acceleration out of the corners for like the extra torque that the electric motors have got.
Oh, we've got the sound.
Yeah.
The sound is back again, and that is the echo. But yeah, not. So,
What did you break, Chris?
Yes, I'm not sure what's happening there. So sorry about the echo and the sound, but we're not sure what's causing that at this stage. The problem of racing at Macau, of course, is Macau it's a longer track than you think it would be, and also it's much steeper. It's a bit like Bathurst. You don't realise until you go there. You don't realise just how steep that climb around the back of the circuit up to the top is, and then down the other side. I don't think they'd last a race, sort of distance.
I was just thinking they wouldn't last because of how close the walls are.
Well,
that's the whole point, isn't it?
But that's what happens at Macau. I mean, that's that's a problem. Can we just have Chris? Can you just disconnect your mic for a second, and we'll just see if that's causing the problem. Oh yeah, that's whatever you did. Yeah, the problem seems to be at Chris's end. Yeah, that's whatever it is. Chris, I'm gonna let's see. There we go. I've just muted Chris's mic. Yeah, so it's definitely at Chris's end. Okay. So Chris, if you can
hear. So we've just found out that in StreamYard you do have control of the microphones of other people.
Yes, it's another thing that you do have, that you do obviously have. So it's got some things over. It would be nice if it had a speaker view thing, which like Zoom does, where it goes automatically to whoever's speaking. I've got to do the switch, but if you have a dedicated switcher, then it works pretty much like just like a normal sort of switcher in the television studio. Some limitations, but yeah, I think it's so far. I think it's worked fairly well. I haven't seen what the image is like on YouTube or that, but so we've got Richard's watching on YouTube and a couple of other people. So Sniper Battle 666, so they're watching, and that's the thing. I mean, we can now with StreamYard we can broadcast on both Facebook and YouTube at the same time without it falling to pieces, without it putting a strain on the old computer and our wonderful world-class NBN here in Australia.
And going by the way that I'm doing it, we can feed out from vMix through NDI and out into StreamYard and restream it that way. That sounds like a nice solution for other problems, Brett.
Yes, it does. It does open up some I was thinking of these possibilities before.
Some possibilities.
There are certainly possibilities that we shall discuss at some stage. But yes, there's definite possibilities if this seems to be working very well. So anyway, great news to know that Audi's coming, and because they're going to run at both Le Mans and in the World Endurance Championship and in IMSA, it means they can now target and go back to some of the great races. Those American classics like the Daytona 24-hour and the Sebring 12-hour and the Petit Le Mans. Glen and the 6 Hour at Watkins Glen, they can race at all of those tracks, as well as, of course, Le Mans itself and rounds of the World Endurance Championship. So it's a very exciting time for sports car. It was looking so moribund, sort of, only a few months ago. We're thinking, this isn't going to work. But now suddenly we've got, Toyota are continuing with the hypercar. We've got Peugeot coming back. We've got Renault sticking around at least for next year with a grandfathered LMP1 car. But I'd be very surprised if they pulled out before the 100th anniversary of Le Mans, which is in 2023 or 2022. Yes.
Just a small piece of advice from the vision switching department. When you're talking, people need to see you.
Yes, I realise this, but I'm doing the vision is over. The vision
they might not want
the
to, but they should. Yeah, well, in that case, reset your desk. Be more efficient.
Yeah,
you could always have a sort of layout like this and show off and what have you.
Tony, thanks, Tony. Tony's saying that the quality's great on YouTube. That's good news. Thanks for that, Tony. Appreciate that. I think all up that the quality of streaming is much better than Zoom. We're looking at that. It's coming through at 720. Chris is back. We're still making noise. I think you're going to have to invest in a new lead or something for that mic, Chris. It's making a lot of noise. The hum's gone. Say hello to us. Let us know you're there. Chris, can you hear us? No, I don't think Chris can hear us. No, obviously not. We can hear Chris, but he obviously can't hear us. But anyway,
so just a top tip while people are watching, if they're looking for streaming, this that I've just dropped into my image is available from JCar. If you are looking for a decent microphone, they are like $79 and they've got a USB connection into your computer and they sound okay and they don't really have any issues. So yeah, if you need this sort of setup. The other option, of course, is you can contact Brett in Pit Lane and then me at Pit Media, and we can always set up a streaming system for you.
Yes, we can certainly do that. We can come around and we can give you. We've got all sorts of toys and things. If we can get into your, now that we can get into people's houses and offices, because obviously what we're playing around with this. Russell Clark is saying, good evening, Russell. Good to see you. This is the other thing that we can do with this that we can't do on Zoom. We can just bring up, we don't have to set this up. We had to sort of set it up through, there was a hack that we could have gone around and done this through vMix. If I had a copy of vMix here, or Stuart could have done it at his end. But we don't have to. We don't have to now with StreamYard. So if you've just tuned in, we're using a program called StreamYard. And this is the first time, haven't even tested it before. It's the first time we've used it. And so far, I'm impressed.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, so is there anything else we got? Oh, Supercars. They've announced their... They've announced their calendar, and there's no Sandown.
Yeah, it's on standby if the Grand Prix doesn't happen. But yeah, there's basically no Sandown, and if Bathurst is the only endurance round, then I would like it taken out of the championship and made it a standalone event. So you win Bathurst, you win. Yeah,
we'll second that.
Yeah, I've always been. I never liked it when they decided to make it a part of the championship. I never liked that. It compromises. It has the potential to compromise Bathurst in terms of, if you're going for the championship, you're now faced with the thing. Well, do I play it safe and finish third and pick up points, valuable points for the championship, or do I go hell for leather and just say, no, this is Bathurst? It's a real problem. And also there's restrictions on who can be, it's split up the Jamie Whincup, Craig Lowndes sort of scenario and that sort of thing. It'd be great if you could just have, I think if you had a Bathurst as a standalone, it's important enough. And as you say, if it's going to be the only endurance round, which I don't like for a start, I'd like to see more endurance races rather than less. But
a couple more would be worthwhile. But Bathurst itself should stand alone and should be season finale. It should be that big event to celebrate the whole year's racing with nothing on the line except the cup to hold up at the end of it.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that then the year's going to end too early because they want to keep it at that same weekend because it's a public holiday weekend in New South Wales and it's traditionally been held over that weekend. So they're very keen to keep that October date. And of course, the problem is now because of the demands of television is that television wants product and they preferably want it 12 months a year. So that's what they're looking at the moment. They'll start in February and they'll go right through to the final round. Will be on the streets of Surface Paradise in late October, early November or something. So I think the Gold Coast is a great place to wind it up. It'll have that sort of party, a bit like the Island Magic scenario. It'll be sort of definitely schooly for petrol heads if you have the final round. But that's only going to happen. Whether that happens from now until the end of time, we don't know but what we do know is that not this coming year, but in 2022, that Newcastle will replace Adelaide as the opening round of the season. That's going to be a new part of the New South Wales support for those events for Newcastle and for Bathurst and Sydney Motorsport Park. So Sydney gets 3 rounds at this stage. So Melbourne will get the Grand Prix and Winton. Winton has quite a bit of government money involved, and also it's a huge regional event. It just brings people from right around. They've got the camping and all the rest of it. It's a major event. It'd be nice if they could have it in some better weather, but that's unfortunate. But shame that they can't go down to Phillip Island as well. But pretty much the drivers all love Phillip Island. Everybody else hates the place.
Yeah,
I love it. Love filming there. It's nice. It's green. You can put You can put 4 cameras around the place, and you get beautiful vision. The noise and the way it looks when a Formula 5000 comes thundering out of Siberia, up through past Hayshed and around past the camera is amazing. The noise, it's beautiful.
Well, when we were over many years ago, when we went over to the Goodwood Festival of Speed, we were talking at lunch to an American photographer who was saying that from the point of view of Moto GP, he said the money shot in Moto GP, he said, was always that shot of the bikes coming towards Honda Corner. He said on a fine day with the blue sky and the ocean in the background under that Australian sun, he said that is the shot that every factory, every sponsor, that's the one they all want. He said that's why just for that shot it was worth going to. But the problem they've got down there is that even though there's plenty of accommodation, there is lots of accommodation down there. It can get pretty expensive. They've got they allow camping down there, but the facilities are not good. You're on the side of the overlooking the cliff basically, and the wind's howling off of Bass Strait, and it doesn't take much for it to be very, very windy and blowy, as we well know, and very, very cold even at the best of times. So but it would be great to see if they could, late in the year or very early in the year when the weather's still reasonable. It'd be really, really good to see them down at Phillip Island. And certainly the drivers would. The drivers would absolutely love that. But like I said, the sponsors hate it. All of the sort of the big wigs, media hate it. Although it's a very easy, as Stuart would, you'll agree with this. It really is a surprisingly easy place to shoot. It's Sandown is way
4 cameras,
worse.
you can cover the whole place.
Yeah, Sandown is a disaster. I mean, we were at Sandown on the weekend for the AASA meeting out there, the AMRS series, and there's virtually nowhere you can shoot at Sandown anymore. It's just you're pretty much limited to the end of the main straight, and then inside turns 3 and 4, and inside Dandenong Road. That's about it. And where we used to have the shot from the entrance to the pits of the cars coming through Dandenong Road, coming towards you and then moving onto the main straight, you're not going to get that anymore now, because even though, while we've all been locked away, the bloody trees have grown up. You can't see a thing there now. All you can see is trees.
Now, I'm only seeing 3 of us, but I'm sure I'm hearing the 4. And I noticed that Kane Pollard's asking the questions, where's Doc? He went
Yeah,
mad,
Doc's
so we shut him.
Doc's having some technical problems. That's one thing with StreamYards is Doc's having. Doc comes on with either his phone or his iPad. He doesn't have a desktop computer, and I don't think StreamYards likes like there. But Doc was here earlier, but unfortunately, yeah, he's had to.
And is Chris still here? Because I'm seeing 3 of us, not 4 of us. But I'm
Yes, I
sure I
think
can hear Chris.
Yeah, well, he's dropped out on my on my feed here, so I'm not sure. So probably the echo we hear might be coming from Pete's speakers or something within the system. Can you turn the speaker
There's
down?
people outside. I live in a block of 3 units, and there's people outside, just outside my room.
Tell them we're creating media here, Pete. Tell them to go. Tell them to be quiet. So go. That's what you need. You need out the front of your flat. You need a big red light with on air on it. Yeah. Please be quiet. On air. Yeah. So
that's probably going to become more common if we keep doing things online like this. And I'm just looking at the 3 of us and going, well, look, from left to right, it's Clarkson, May T-shirt, and Hammond.
Yeah, I don't ever want to be. I don't want to be James May. I'd accept, but yeah, the other 2.
That's right. I've got the T-shirt for it. I'm already there.
Alan Bradshaw saying, yeah, well,
George Russell replacing the Mercedes.
Yeah.
I would say that's slightly in front of the engine and slightly behind the steering wheel.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. But is Lewis Hamilton just that good that he makes the Mercedes group the checkered flag too often? I don't. I think we're now. I think we're getting to the stage.
It's both.
Yeah, I think
it's a combination of driver and car.
6 of one and half a dozen of the other. But at the same time, I don't think you can just put it down to the car now. I think that he is. I've come around to the fact that he is a genuine once in a lifetime talent, and I think you can get lucky once or twice, and you can have a good run because of a good car. But he's. I think he's a very special. I think he's a very special.
He's lucky often enough that it has to be a statistical aberrance.
Thank you, Kane. We appreciate that. That's great. Because,
they love our work.
Yeah, that's always good. It's nice to be appreciated. As we say, we just got to get together. While we're all sort of it's still in semi-lockdown, I suppose, and while we can't get back into the studio, I'm waiting there. The last I heard, we still don't have any firm opening date for RMIT University and also the television studio again. So certainly our preference is to get back into the studios as soon as possible in the new year and start producing a proper show again. But at the moment, this is sort of as close as we get. But we will have some stuff. As I said, we were at Sandown on the weekend. We did have some problems. It's amazing you get out of the habit. And there was at one stage where we were putting things together and I was going, hang on, now what do I plug in and where do I plug it in? And how do I mount this to this? And it took a while to sort of come back again. But we got some good stuff. It was a really good meet, very casual. Some people might say perhaps a little too casual, but it was just everybody was really welcome. It was a great atmosphere down there. Tried to get down to Phillip Island on the Sunday, but both, as I put on Facebook, both me and the car were not up to it. I got pretty crook on Sunday, and also the car, the clutch needed some work, which was done, and thanks to Declan Kirkham for fixing that yesterday. But the car I wasn't confident that the car would make it there and back, and I wasn't confident that I would make it there and back. So I ended up going to Sandown to pick up some more footage and parked myself down at turn 1 to get some more B-roll, and down the rain came. So I took a break to go up and get something to eat and then come back and film this afternoon. And then I did get very unwell and just had to come home. So we didn't get all the stuff we want, but we got some interviews with some of the sedans, the Thundersports guys. We've got interviews with Phil from Formula Ford talking about the situation there. And who else have we got? We got a few people. got a few people that we talked to out at the Australian Motor Racing Series, and it was a lot. As I said, it was a lot of fun. It was everybody was very welcoming. It was one of the friendlier meetings I've been to, and it's perhaps it's something that a few of the people at some of the state rounds, some of the Motorsport Australia could have a look at, because it was just a pleasure to go to a race meeting where everyone was just having so much fun. Okay, well,
reading comments, I'm going to have to put this in the same as every week. Shane Priest, hi, get your butt on camera.
Yeah, go Priesty. Well, he's too busy chasing his cat. His main coon got out the other. When your main coon escapes, you get worried. I mean, because one, they could do a lot of damage, and two, he didn't come cheap. So thankfully he came home. So that's we're glad that the cat came back. Was that a song somewhere? The cat came back.
Okay, well, in that case, let's digress. Shane, get your cat used to hearing the sound of the tin opening. It's a remote control for the cat. You open the tin, the cat will appear. Done.
Well, you hope anyway. That's the thing is about with cats like that, and with I mean, because I had many years ago, I had an Abyssinian Blue, and they were there, and I'm sure it got catnapped basically. And that happens a lot, because they are worth a lot of cash to some people, and if the cat happens to get out and somebody can entice said cat or dog to come with them, I mean, you may not see them again. So you got to be very careful with those, and you want to keep cats sort of locked up as best as possible anyway. Although one of the reasons I don't have them, I mean, because they do a lot. I don't want to keep them locked up, but gee, they do a lot. They do a lot of damage when they get out.
Yes, we have enough room for them to roam. Although, speaking of roaming and getting things wrong, Mr. Priest, you know how to spell it. It doesn't have a U.
Oh, yeah.
People who think that my name is it is English instead of Scottish.
Well,
anyway, Brett. So, have we exhausted this week's news?
Yeah, I think we have. I think it's probably getting to the time when I think we can safely say. I don't know about you two guys, but I think we can say, apart from the technical difficulties we had with Doc and Chris.
Yeah, which is at their end. Yep.
Yeah, which the StreamYards has looked to have worked extremely well. So
nice and stable. I'm looking forward to feeding it with VMix and getting some drag racing or the like in front of it and seeing what happens.
Yeah, Shane's saying that the cat is the size of a small dog. If it's anything like a couple of Maine Coons,
Maine Coon, what do you expect?
It's much bigger than Briggs. Melissa's cat Briggs, he's not a full man. He's got Maine Coon in him. There's no doubt about it. And he towered over the dogs. So they're a very big. They're an impressive.
What Shane is going to find what Shane will find if he's got polished concrete floors is that a Maine Coon will not get grip on that floor. They will go sliding around like they're playing ice hockey, and it is hilarious to watch. My sister has too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I must admit I've got a weakness. I'm very much a cat person. Look, I think that's there. Thanks to everybody who tuned in and watched on both Facebook and the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. If you're on the YouTube channel, or even if you're not, make sure you go and like and subscribe. Really important. You got to keep the numbers up. YouTube, you got to feed the beast. That's why we've been trying to get some. One of the reasons for doing this, if you don't sort of keep feeding in regular stuff into the YouTube channel, they get a bit vindictive. They're a bit like muscles. If you don't use them, they can get very vindictive. And I know all about that because I started exercising again this week went back into the gym after a very, very long time. And things hurt everywhere at the moment. So anyway, anything before we go?
Exercise is lovely, Brett. I could watch other people doing it all the time.
Yeah, that is true. The problem is, the reason I've got to do it is I was given sort of two. They said you can go on an extreme diet for your diabetes, or you can do a lot more exercise and you can eat more of the stuff you like. And
what we need then is vision of you chasing cats on floorboards and sliding around everywhere, because that'd be lots of exercise. Just watching the paws going.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so the cat is so the cat's already sliding around on the polished floorboards. So Shane, pictures or it didn't happen, and you'll get sort of
Yep.
bring
With
it
the
next
right
week.
soundtrack, comedy music from silent films.
Send a copy to Stuart and he can whack it into VMix and we can play it here next week.
Yep,
So
definitely.
yeah. Okay, everybody. So thanks for joining us. I hope we'll see you again next week on the show. Hopefully we'll find a way for we'll experiment a bit more, see if we can get Doc and Chris back in. Chris was in for a while, but it was obviously an audio thing at his end. So but yeah, Doc, I don't think StreamYards likes the iPhone or the iPad. I think it's looking for something a bit more with a bit more grunt.
Well, I seem to remember something about there being a new, very bargain-orientated computer from Apple that seems to be rather popular. Maybe that would run it.
The problem is, I'm looking at one of those myself. The thing is, I mean, when you see the American price and you go, oh, $699. Wow, that's a bargain. And then you find out that
It's about 400 Australian more.
Yeah, in Australia, it's actually sort of closer to $1,200, and then of course you want some decent storage, and you're paying sort of an extra $300 to get like a terabyte of storage, and then if you want to get the 16 gig of memory, that's about another four. And suddenly, before you know it, you've got a $2,000 computer.
$300 for a terabyte of storage. What the heck are you buying?
Well, that's
you go into JB Hi-Fi and a USB 3 hard drive is like $60 for 2 terabytes.
Yes, which is what people are doing. But it's if you have a lot of applications and a lot of documents you want to upload. Well, we'll talk about that. It's technical stuff, but there are some problems. But yeah, there are some problems. The 256 possibly get away with 512, which is not as expensive. But I certainly
so it's not as pretty as a PC, but it is effective for the dollars.
It's very, very effective. I mean, there's a lot of very angry people at the moment who spent $4,000 and $5,000 on iMac Pros over the last couple of years, who are finding out now that the new the new Apple Silicon Mac M1s are now doing things. If not as fast, almost as fast, and in some cases faster than their $3,000 and $4,000 computers.
And for us, using something like StreamYard, that's a very small portable computer for us to be able to take to places like Winton and live streaming those lovely events that we were doing last year at this time.
Yes, it certainly is. There's a lot of opportunities, as I said. With now that we've given this a try, it does open up some interesting possibilities that we can discuss. But that's for off air. So, by the way, if you haven't been watching. Right now, Racer.com have had for the past week an online racer forum. It's on YouTube every night. It starts at about 2 a.m. in the morning here in Australia, but it does go right through until the afternoon. And there's been some fascinating panels, some good technical stuff, and all of the sessions are on YouTube. The problem is, unfortunately, and once again, it's they spoke to people like Stuart and I, we could sort of set it up a little bit better for them so they could actually get, because they're putting like the whole 12 hours up in one big block, so it's pretty hard to find the specific thing you're looking for. But yeah, have a look around, go onto the racer.com website, have a look at click on the online Race Week forum, and this last night tonight, and they've had some brilliant stuff there, and I've been catching up on it. It's been really fascinating. So some of the biggest names in motorsport, particularly from the American side of it, sort of saying how they do things over there, and they do things a lot more differently in the USA than they do in Australia. And the thing that comes out, especially in terms of running race meetings, and is promotion, and just how important in the United States the fans come first. That is the big difference. It's it's like without the fans, we don't get a chance to race. So the fans, we have to cater for the fans, so the fans come, which is very different to the way it's done here in Australia, where the fans are sort of more a nuisance value. So Stuart's showing that now. So that's racer.com, and there's a link just there, down there. You can see the links there. So yeah, so have a look at that over the next few days because it's really worth it. Had a fascinating look at the future of American road racing with the people from IMSA, NASCAR, IndyCar the other night. That was really interesting. Okay, yeah, Shane must have. I reckon Shane's won Tats Lotto or something. He's got a Maine Coon, a big screen TV, and now he's got an iPhone 12 Max Pro, and it costs yeah. So it's a lovely camera, but I wouldn't be spending any $2,500 on a phone. That's for sure. But it is it's a great second camera. It's certainly.
And since you're still playing me, I'm thinking I'm going to go and find some rocket video to put on the YouTube and just see what happens. Because you still got Mike. Oh, there he goes. He's figured it out.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I'm going to do sort of two things at once. There you go. We've got the spinning wheel of death. Can you still hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. We've got the spinning. Is the spinning?
Of course
wheel
I can.
Of death
I'm just watching YouTube for the rockets.
Yeah, Shane's saying the camera is the camera is an amazing quality. There we go. We'll try that one. Okay, so that's all we've got time for this week, guys. We will see you all. We'll see you all next week. So until then, thanks for joining us on whether it's on YouTube or or Facebook Live. Streamlabs seems to work. So I've paid for a month of this bloody thing. So I suppose we might as well. Same time, same place next week. So until then, and if you're interested, by the way, if you're interested in any streaming, I know Speedway's coming back, Niora, a few of those places. If you're interested in doing any live streaming, or if you've got a product launch or any sort of meeting coming up, and you want like that live streamed, remember to contact us here at In Pit Lane because that's what we actually do for a living, and we can actually do this stuff. Okay, so we'll see you next week on the program. Until then, from all of us, it's goodbye for now. Bye bye.
Yeah.